Welcome back to RTOD, and I got something I honestly didn't think I was going to get my hands on. This is a Lytro light field camera. Now, you either don't know about this or you know about this from Computer Clan's video where Crazy Ken did a really great breakdown of the company, its foundings, leading up to this camera specifically, some of its other ventures, and its eventual closing. Or you might remember this from when it came out at around 2012. I know I saw this camera, thought it was really neat, and I actually got to play with one years ago. Never got to do the editing side, but I got to take some pictures with it. And it fascinated me. But the price was too exorbitant at the time, and honestly, there really wasn't much need in my mind for a camera. And you're probably thinking, what is so special about this? Well, the whole idea with a light field camera is you would take a picture and then in post, after you took the picture onto your computer, you can adjust the focus and the depth. So really, you can take one picture and then in post go through and have different fields of depth in it. And it was a very revolutionary way to look at photography at the time. Clearly, it didn't catch on because nobody else is using it. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The pictures themselves was only 1.2 megapixels, which even in, 2012 wasn't that great. But it's an interesting camera. It has an 11 mega array sensor. It's about 5 inches long and 8x optical zoom. It's a lot of lenses going on in here. And I want to see what the real Lytro experience is. So before we take it out, why don't we put it on the bench and take a closer look at this camera? So if you've never seen a Lytro or actually held one in person, it's very interesting. It looks more like a spyglass or a piece of surveying equipment than a camera. 5 inches long, an inch and a half screen on it, really only two buttons. You have your shutter button on the top, power button on the bottom, as well as USB plug. And then there's this interesting slider on the top that you can zoom in. What I like about it is it powers on super quick and then it's on. It does have a touchscreen, so I can scroll through, look at my photos. You can in here adjust the focal point, but the problem is this screen is so bad. You can kind of see it a little bit on there, how the focal point changes. But it's not, especially with a lot of detail, it's not a very enjoyable screen to use. But other things you'd expect, I can delete the image from there. I also have a battery life indicator as well. And that's it for options on screen. I'm going to turn it off real quick, and I'm going to show you the most impressive thing this camera has. Because it turns on so quickly, if I just double tap, I took a picture. So it went from sleep to on and taking a picture immediately. I can't even do that with my phone. So that's interesting. That's one thing I like about it. There's not much I like about it. This is the zoom. You can go back and forth. And the cool thing is because of the big optic on it, you can actually see it zoom in and you can hear it and feel it too. It is a beefy thing. I thought about taking it apart. I found a guide online, but I think I would do more damage, but incredibly complex movement inside. So now that we've looked at it a little closer, let's take it out into the field and take some pictures with it.
I'm here at Mount Trashmore in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Yeah, that's its real name. Really neat history. Go look it up.
And I really wanted to use this beautiful day to take a look at how this Lytro performs out in public in a real world environment. But I'm not just going to use a Lytro. I'm also going to use this Fujifilm S1500 Fine Pix camera that was actually discontinued 3 years before this hit the market. I think it's a little more fair comparison than putting this up against my iPhone 15. One thing has become painfully obvious using this camera outside is just how horrible and miserable this screen is to use. There's a lot of times where I find myself not even using the screen, just pointing in the general direction because I can't see anything. It's sunny, but it's a little overcast, and this makes this almost useless other than a really traditional point and shoot camera. One thing that's become painfully obvious and quite annoying with the camera is the zoom feature. You run your finger across the top of the camera. There's little nubs here, and that's how you zoom in and out. But you have to keep going back and forth if you want to zoom in the whole way or the whole way out. It's not ergonomic. It's like holding a block, because it is a block, and it's not a very enjoyable everyday use case.
All right, so a nifty feature about the camera is as soon as I plug it into USB, it'll start the Lytro software. So Windows detected it and it popped up. Now you can still get this software today. I'll have a link in the description. Obviously you're not getting it from the Lytro website, and it has no problem running on Windows 10. So here are the pictures I took today. I didn't take as much as what I thought, and there's some of my foot and the bottom of my shirt because I still am a little uncomfortable with the camera. Like I said, I didn't take too many because it was like 92 degrees outside. A little uncomfortable to say the least. So we are going to select all of these images except for the one on my shoe and the one on my shirt. We're going to import them, but I also have this checked here to process immediately, because again, there are multiple steps before we can use these images. So we're going to import and let it process. It's not the quickest in the world, and I can imagine this was only slower on a PC of the time. All right, so it looks like they are all imported. It took longer than what you'd expect, but I can't use them just yet because they're not in a format I can use. We have to export them. But before we export them, we have to adjust them. So let's look at, this would be a good candidate, looking towards downtown. So we'll double click on it, open it up in the adjust panel. And we can do a bunch of things here that you would expect. We can adjust temperature, tint, exposure, stuff like that. But, the whole reason you would have bought this camera was to adjust the focus. And you could simply do that by clicking on different parts of the image. Now, I will be honest with you, for most of the images that I've messed around with, it's very difficult to tell. But yeah, here we are adjusting the focus on it. You can kind of see a little bit there. Let's pick another image. All right, so this picture of a fire hydrant is really the best example. Now, I'm not sure. Am I using this wrong? Maybe. I don't think so. Could it be my camera or the software, or just really wasn't impressive? I don't know. But if you look, we're kind of focused more in the center, and this patch of grass over here is blurred. I can click on it and it changes the focus over there. I can focus on this graffiti, on this back, maybe on the back of this pickup to say Chevrolet, this sign over here. Man, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of lackluster. I would be really disappointed if I paid a lot of money for this when it was new. But either way, all right, so we have a wonderful picture that I focused on this post. I have to export it before I can do anything. So I save my changes. We'll go back to our library here. We'll right click this and we will export the image. It's going to export to my downloads. And it is done. Let's open it up. And there it is. My pitiful picture for 2012. Look at that. Look at that. Pixeling around there. Not great. What else? Maybe we can get the actual crest up here. So again, you see it focuses. Yeah, it does, but it really makes me wonder, is this as good as it was meant to be, or is there something wrong with my camera? Because yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I focused on that tree. I can focus on the back tree back here, or these roots. I expected more. I honestly expected more. Maybe we can see this. Can I? Oh, that looks, look at that. That looks even horrible. That's worse. Wow, this is incredible. This is a joke. This is a mess. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to focus these images as best as I can, and then I'm going to grab the pictures from my actual camera and we'll compare them. All right, so I imported all the images. Obviously, pulling images from the Fujifilm was super easy. Plug the camera in or take the SD card out and you have them. They're ready to go. They're ready to share. I exported all the images from the Lytro. Took way longer than it should have. It took longer to export the images than it was to get the camera, plug it in, pull everything over, unplug it, and put the camera away. But I'm starting to question if I'm doing something wrong. I don't think I am. But look at this. The average image size from the Lytro is like 150 kilobytes, KB. Whereas the average image from the Fujifilm, which mind you, was discontinued. This camera was obsolete 3 years before the Lytro came out. 4.85 megs, 4.7 megs, 4.8 megs. You can already tell by the thumbnail that this image of the fire hydrant looks better than this one. Let's open them up. I have to be doing something wrong. So here's the Lytro. Oh, look at that. That is so much better. This is the Fujifilm. Let's zoom in. Like you see rust on there. Oh, look at that. Look at that pixelation. There's artifacts. Like, what is that? What is that? That's probably a rock, right? Of course it is. Look, I can see the rock here. There's more detail in the rock and the dirt on a discontinued. Oh, man. If I would have bought this Lytro brand new, I would be furious that this was the quality. Let's look at something else. Here, let's look at this building. Let's drag him over. So here is the Lytro. Mind you, I fixed the focus on this sign. I don't know what that means. I can't read that. But if we look at the Fujifilm, even from further away, it says endurance. I can zoom in. Yep, there it is. Look at that. This is, wow. Zoom in on these trees. Look at that. If we zoom in over here, I mean, do I even have that sign? Yeah, I got that sign here. It almost, so here you can tell it almost looks like a stop sign on the Lytro because it's so pixelated. Look at that. It looks more like an octagon. Let's pick one more. Here we go. I think these will be really good because there is, there's a little crest on here. So this is from the parking lot of Mount Trashmore, and no comparison, right? Now, when I was messing with this, yeah, I adjusted the contrast a little bit, and I can do that in post here, but this is hands down. Look at that. That's the city of Virginia Beach. Look at that. There's detail on there that you definitely do not get here. Wow. I'm not going to zoom in on the people, but I guarantee there's a lot more definition here. But oh man, can I zoom in this power meter? It's pixelated, but like it's going to be a lot better than on the Lytro. Oh, look at that. That's scary. But here, yep, that's definitely for power. Oh. Well, I think we have a hands-down winner here. This software is cumbersome, to say the least. And at the end of the day, it takes way too long. It takes too long to import an image from the camera to the software Then you have to go through, manually adjust the photo, and then export it in a format you could use. Now, when this was active, there was a service that you can just upload them straight onto a Lytro website, and then people can edit them, or not edit them, but adjust the focus on the website. That obviously isn't around anymore, but I'm not sure that would have been much better, because if you take a picture, you want to share it. That's the whole point. This is even worse than what I imagined.
This is a really great idea, but I think at the end of the day, it answers a lot of questions not a lot of people are asking. I did some professional photography, mostly weddings, when I was younger. I never saw a need to readjust focus afterwards because you did it right the first time, and you could focus on the camera. Between how unergonomic this is, how cumbersome the zoom is, the almost useless screen, and the software, which is great and powerful and has a lot of features, but there's just a lot of barriers to sharing pictures. And at the end of the day, isn't that the point of taking a picture? With this camera, I can take a picture, plug it in my computer, email it, send it on Facebook, whatever I need to do. I can't do that with the Lytro. There are multiple steps I need to do to be able to get a picture on here to you. And more importantly, you have to have the software. I don't need the software for this camera. I don't need the software for my iPhone. I can just trade pictures however I want. You need the software with this. And right now, that doesn't exist in their website, so you have to get it elsewhere. It's an interesting idea. It's a great theory. The practice doesn't work out. I think it's a classic example of somebody with a really good revolutionary idea, but the only way for it to get noticed and eventually bought out by a bigger company is to go to market. I'm glad I didn't buy this when it came out. I feel bad for people that did buy it when it came out. I'm not going to call it a flop because it does what it says it's meant to do, and it does it just as well as a first generation product would. But yeah, this was interesting. I'm glad I got my hands on one, but I'm even gladder I didn't do it back in 2012. I think it's going to wrap this up for Retro Tech or Die. If you like what we're doing over here, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll catch you next time.